Hello everybody, this is your boy Quezex. I wanted to do some videos about Age of Conan. Age of Conan Unchained specifically, because that's the free version of Age of Conan that you can find on Steam. You can play a paid version through Steam, or the free version, which is called the Unchained. And so I thought I would go through some videos to give you an idea of what the game is like, and get you started if you have an interest in it. Age of Conan, of course, is set in the realm of Conan the Barbarian from the movies and the comics and such of that nature, all based on the writings of Robert Howard. Age of Conan was first published, the game was first published in 2008, and went free to play about 2 years after that. There's the free-to-play model. Most people are familiar with the free-to-play model. I'll talk a little bit about that. But we're going to start with character creation. That's a good place to get started. Now, I like Age of Conan for a couple of various reasons. I think graphically it's a great game, even for being 14 years old now, almost 15 years old. It's still graphically very, very good. It's a, as they say, a sexy, bloody, gritty game. You know, there's some to that. Gritty, realistic is something I like about the game. We'll get into this. So here's my loading screen. Now, when you first get Age of Conan Unchained, you get the free version. You can get it through Steam. You're allowed to have one character. So, you know, it's a free game. What more should you want? You know, you get to play a character. You can, of course, buy Funcom points. You can buy them through Steam or through Funcom directly. For actual cash, and then unlock additional character slots. And that's what I've done over the past couple of years I've had the game. Is every now and then I'll just buy some Funcom points, and then I'll make myself a new character slot. If you get the premium version, you can get up to 18 character slots total. So there is that. But anyway, so here's some of the characters that I already have. This one here at the top. This is a Guardian, and you see he's got his big old pole arm here on the back. Guardian being a soldier archetype. Then I've got Ovania, she's my demonologist. She's a mage. Then I've got a priest, a Tempest of Set, priest class. Thesmades is a ranger. So we'll get into some of these character classes here in a little bit. So let's get right into this empty slot I've got, and we're going to make ourselves a character. So click on that. First screen comes up. Go to the top right and choose server. You've got Crom, which is the PvE, which is player versus environment. And then you've got the Fury server, which is player versus player. I'm not much of a PvP guy, so we're going to make a player versus environment character on Crom. We come down here to the very bottom to create. Click on it, and it'll take us to a cutscene with a slave galley that we're on. There's a picture of the man himself. Some of the artwork that is in here is really, really nice. Anyway, so here's our character creation screen. You can see we're on a slave galley, and we are a slave. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is select a gender. So you've got male and female. See all the way here at the back, you have a female avatar. And of course, when this game first came out, it was very kind of a, ooh, hey, this has nudity in it. Well, yes, it has nudity in it. But it's not, quickly one would forget about that unless you're like a 9-year-old boy. Most of the time you forget about that really quickly. But this is an idea of one of the female models. Okay, and you can make some adjustments to height and weight and things of that nature. Or the male model is right over here. So we're going to make a male character today, and we're going to make a bear shaman. But before we get into that, let's start with over here on the left-hand side. Cultures. There are 4 playable cultures in Age of Conan, and there's not much difference in playability between them, other than some of the cultures only allow on the right-hand side certain classes. So let's go to the top here, the Aquilonians. Aquilonians, they can be any manner of soldier character, and they can do one of the 4, any one of the 4, but for example, in the priests, they're limited to Priest of Mitra. We'll talk about that in a little bit. They can be any of the rogue character types, and they can only be a mage, a necromancer when it comes to the mage character types. Sumerians, they can be all of the soldiers. They can't be a Priest of Mitra, but they could be a bear shaman, which is what we're going to do today. They can be any of the rogue character types, but they cannot be any mages. Come down here to the Stygians. Now, they're somewhat limited up here in the soldier area. They used to not be able to be any soldiers, period, but that was changed a few years ago, and they can be at least a Dark Templar. As far as priests go, the only priests they have is the Tempest of Set. We'll talk about those. They can be either an assassin or a ranger, but they have access to all of the mage character types. And then down here, the Khitan character culture, they can be a little bit of anything down here. So let's talk about, and you'll notice here it says you do not have the expansion, you will not be able to play this game with this race. So I cannot play a Khitan character because I haven't purchased the expansion that allows access to them, which is fine. We'll do that eventually one day, but not right now. So, okay. So just a quick note on the cultures. The Achelonians, in terms of culture, remember Robert Howard built his world for his stories based a little bit on actual history and actual cultures. So when you think of the Achelonians, think of late Greek, early Roman. Okay, in terms of what armor type specifically, that's their general culture is something late Greek, early Roman type of culture. So if you're trying to think about an RP aspect of this, role-playing aspect, you could think of that. Sumerians, which of course was what Conan is, barbarian tribes from the north. So think Scottish, Irish, Scandinavian cultures from the early Dark Ages, just after the fall of Rome, possibly even Gaulish tribes or Frankish tribes is what you would find there. So that's kind of the culture there. Stygians. This culture is based kind of out of ancient Egypt, so pharaohs and pyramids and snake gods and things of that nature. Now that's your Stygians. And then your Khitan, that's of course your Eastern Asian, so Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Mongolian. That is the culture that you're trying to emulate if you're playing a character from that particular culture. Down here, you'll at the very bottom select type. You have normal and unconquered. Normal is what I typically would choose. Unconquered is one of those things where you might get a little bit of a bonus to things like experience gain and things of that nature, but you run the risk of losing access to all of that if you die one time. So that to make it through this game for any period of time without dying is extremely hard. So that's something you can play if you wanted to. Now, once you've died one time after selecting Unconquered, then you're just playing as normal, and so any bonuses you had from playing Unconquered are gone forever. You can't ever get it back. So we're going to stick with normal. And because I want to play a bear shaman and I cannot play the Khitan, we're going to go back up to the Sumerians, and I'm going to choose a Sumerian to play. Now, let's talk about character classes before we get into this. So classes, there are 4 archetypes: soldier, priest, rogue, and mage. For those who are not familiar, the soldier archetype, that's your fighters. Those are your frontline fighters. They get in the front of a group of people, and they just swing swords or maces at the bad guy, and they take all the damage, ideally. The priest classes, of course, some are lightly armored, some get to wear a little bit heavier armor, but not super. They're in charge of keeping everybody alive in a group if you're playing in a group. They can call down the fury of the gods to harm to some degree, but they can also heal. Rogues, which is the next thing down, that's what you would think of, okay? Rogues, they like to hide in the bushes or in dark alleyways and stab you in the back. They cause a lot of damage really fast, but once a creature has gotten close to them and start beating on them, they're not long for this world. So they got to cause enough damage to overcome their squishiness, so to speak. And lastly, of course, are mages. Now, magic in the Conan world, or in the Hyborian Age, is not the same as high fantasy one might see necessarily out of things like EverQuest or World of Warcraft. It's not that fancy, sparkly magic, but it is rough and rumble type of magic, and you'll see more about that as we go along. I'm going to choose Sumerian because I want to make a bear shaman. All right, so we've chosen the class. We've got our race and our sex here. Now we want to customize. If we go down here to the bottom, we can click on this customize, and that gives us a couple panels. On the left hand side, this is a general change of the body. We start with character sounds. These are the screams you're making while you're fighting. We're going to stick with voice set 1 because that's the one I care for, that I like the best. We can make them very slim, we can make them very big, or we can make them very muscular. Okay, because I'm going to trying to emulate a bear, I'm going to be somewhere in the middle between big and muscular. Height scale, okay. There's not a huge amount of variation in the height when you're playing the game. I've got a couple characters that are very short, a couple characters that are very tall, and I don't see a whole lot of difference there when I'm running around other models. But because I'm thinking bear, we're going to make him as tall as possible. We have some skin colors. Now, depending on your culture, these can get darker. Stygians, for example, can get quite dark with the skin color. But being Sumerian, Northern Barbarian tribe, fairly light skin colors, we'll go with this one probably. Then lastly, body markings. Here on the back, I've got a tattoo, and that's the strategy tattoo. And we can go through various things. Responsible, of course, changes the tattoo to up here on the chest. So we have various tattoos that can pop around on the body that we might like. Then we also have some scarring. If you think in your mind your character has been cut by a saber, you can see the mark there on the shoulder. But because we're doing a bear, I'm going to go with cut by the bear. Looks like he's gotten raked across the chest when he was younger. On the right hand side, we can customize even deeper. Now, before I go on into this other stuff, if you see these 3 little tabs right here on the left hand side, you got a full body, a half a body, and a face. So full body is where we're at right now. I get closer by clicking on the half body, it gets me a little bit closer, or I click directly on the face, which gets me really close to the face. So if I want to look at the vases up close, that's how I do that. So I can go through various face options that they have on here. We're going to go with Challenger, I think. We can choose various eye colors, anywhere from gray to very, very light gray or pale blue to green. There's a brown. Brown, that's about as dark as you get. They don't have much in the way of dark eye colors. So let's see. We have multiple hairstyles here, so we can go through those. Of course, you can left click and hold down and move your guy around to take a look at him, or your girl if you're making a girl character. So we're going to go through these. I think I want to go with that one. Let me go a little bit longer. See if there's anything else I like. Maybe this one. I like this one. This is a good one. And then we've got braided beard, and I think so no facial hair, common mustache, Fu Manchu, there we go, whiskers, short beard, long beard, curly. I think we'll go back to short beard. I think I like that. Okay, so hair color, very light hair, gray hair, brown hair, strawberry blonde looks like, and some of these hair colors change based on culture. Like Stygians can have a little bit darker hair. Some of the hairstyles will change based on culture as well. Some hairstyles are not available to some cultures. But we're going to stick with a dark hair here. And then again, face markings, we can choose. They're all named, which is kind of cool. So once you get comfortable with which ones you like, you can easily move to them. So we're going to go on through here. I found one earlier that I kind of liked. Autumn Hunter, I think, is what it was that I liked. So we're going to go with that. Now we also need a name, so we go up here to the top, and we're going to put in a name. We'll go with Grisbin. Okay. So that is most of it. As I said over here, when it comes to, I can go to this advanced tab here at the bottom, and if I scroll back out, you'll see over here on the left hand side, I can make the arms a little bigger or smaller. I can make the chest bigger or smaller if I like. The stomach, I can make them small or solid all the way through. Same thing over here on the face. I can change length of nose, for example. You know, I can make it a shorter nose. I can make a longer nose. I'm going to keep it long. So I can customize what they already have. I can customize it even a little finer when I want to. So I wanted to show that to you. So anyway, we're satisfied with all of that. So here at the very bottom, enter game, confirmation, some male, Sumerian, bear shaman, and normal. I'm not doing the unconquered version. I'm happy with it. As soon as we click on accept, we're going to go to a cutscene where the slave galley is struck onto a rock. You can see it's in a little storm, strikes a rock, sinks, we're thrown overboard, and a small cutscene showing us sinking into the ocean's depths. And we will eventually, some magic will occur, and we will be saved. So just watch this for a second, and we'll talk in a minute. And now we've survived our drowning, and we've washed up on a beach.
So then, you're not quite dead. This is Tortage, the pirate haven, jewel of the Barachian Isles. To the west is Atlantis, silent and dead under the open ocean. Eastwards lies Hyboria, where the world's doom rises. But your life is ending, even as I speak. The slave master from your vessel runs through the wilderness to reach the city. Slaves are forbidden within the walls, and if he tells the guards your ship carried a cargo of flesh, you will be left outside to rot in the jungle. If you enter Tortage City, find the old seer, Nadini. Tell her Calantes of Ibis sent you. Now go, find Sadur. Buy your life with his death.
All right, there we go. That's character creation. So the next video I do, we're going to pick up right here, and I'll show you what all these little tabs are for. Again, this is a series for people who thinking about playing the game, want kind of a heads up on some of this stuff, and I'll give you some hint tips and tricks that I have come across. But there we go. There is my bear shaman, Grisman, and we will see you in the next video, and we'll start showing you about how to move around and do some stuff and get off this beach. Have a good one, guys. Bye.